Today we're going to go over the G1000 setup for a IFR flight. So once you get in the plane and turn it on, it'll look something very similar to this. Go ahead and hit the enter button, get us back up to our engine page, and we're just going to go around the perimeter and make sure that everything is set. So we're going to hold clear, get back to our map page. On map, we want to make sure that we have terrain. We can turn off topo, and airway low is enabled. This is going to let us see all of the terrain and make sure that we have our clearance as we're flying out. After that, we can use our FMS knob to go down to our traffic map. We're going to test it. Wait while it tests. And afterwards, we're going to hit operate and then flight ID so that we can see the identifier for the aircraft in the vicinity. After that, we're going to go over to our aux page. We're going to come down to our GPS status. We're going to make sure that we have all of our satellites in view that we need. For us to have RAM capabilities, we need our RAM with fault detection and exclusion. We need 6. Obviously, in the G1000 room, as well as a lot of your simulators, they're not going to pop up, but in the plane you do want to make sure that you have 6 for your RAM coverage, as well as on your GPS 2 you want to make sure that you have 6 as well. Another good thing to do is come over here to the RAM prediction, add however long your flight is going to be. So we're going to do a 2-hour flight, so we're going to change it to 7:59 Zulu, hit enter, 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 and that's going to compute our RAM and make sure that we have RAM throughout our entire flight. And I'm not sure if it's going to actually switch over in the G1000. However, when you're in the plane, it will tell you RAM available, and then you know that you're good. The other thing you're going to do is hit SBAS and make sure that your WAS is enabled. That's going to make sure that the G1000 is actually currently using WAS. After that's good, click out of it and go down to system setup. You want to make sure that your date and time is in UTC and that it's all correct. Then you want to come over here to your MFD data bars and make sure that it's ground speed, estimated time en route, estimated time to arrival, and your ground track. And if all that's good, come down to system status and make sure that you have all green checks. Of course, in the G1000 room, as well as a lot of your sims, you're going to have some red X's, that's fine, but in the plane, you want to make sure that you have all green checks and that you don't have any red X's. And then down here, you're going to put the enunciator test. When you click the enunciator test, you're going to look and make sure that your comm panel is lighting up, as well as if you've got the caution and master caution, that those are illuminated as well as that chime. We're going to go and click it. All right, we've got that chime. The G1000 room and some of your sims, everything may not light up, but you definitely want to make sure that you hear that chime. And then when you're in the plane, make sure that you have your comm panel and your caution lights lighting up as well if those are there. All right, so we're good here. We're going to go ahead and hold clear, get back to our map page, and here is where we are going to go ahead and input our flight plan. So flying out of Falcon instrument, we're mostly going to be using the Mesa 1 departure. So you can hit flight plan here on the panel to pull up your flight plan, click in to highlight, and we can go down to where the dots are. Procedure is where you're going to hit to pull up your departures. So we can hit procedure, use the big knob to scroll down to select departure, hit enter, select that we're doing the Mesa 1. And we're taking off. We'll go ahead and do 4 right, enter, and go ahead and load. And then we're going to make sure that's sequenced properly. We're taking off 4 right, climbing up to 1,800 feet, intercepting, heading to 20 to IFR. Yep, that looks good. So we're going to continue. We're going to go ahead and go all the way to Stanfield with this. So after IFR, let's hit menu to pull up our airways. We can scroll down to load airway, hit enter. And do IFR to PXR. That's going to take us to the Phoenix VOR. Hit load. So we can see Victor 16, all the way to the Phoenix VOR, and then we can hit menu, load airways, Victor 105, and then select our ending, the TFD Stanfield, hit enter and load. And we're just gonna look at everything and make sure it looks good. So we've got 1,800 feet, intercept, go to IFR, then Victor 16 to PXR, Victor 105 to TFD. That looks like our flight plan, looks good to me. You don't wanna go ahead and put Casa Grande in yet. We'll get that. You'll input that as you get closer to Stanfield, and once you know what type of approach you're flying. So for now, you don't want to actually put your destination. You're just going to load your flight plan all the way up to your final approach fix. Click out to unselect it, and we can go ahead and zoom in a little bit for situational awareness while we're on the ground. And our flight plan is in. The other thing you want to do after you've got your GPS set up is go ahead and put in your VORs. Just in case something happens to your GPS, you have a failure, anything like that. Once you've taken off, you can still have positive course guidance to your destination. In this case, it would be IFR. So in nav1, we want to make sure that we put the Stanfield VOR, which is going to be frequency 14.8. And go ahead and put that in active. And then in standby, we're going to go ahead and put our secondary frequency, which will be for the Phoenix VR 15.6. And we'll leave that in the standby. We're going to go ahead and reverse it for nav2. So put 15.6, our Phoenix VOR, into the active. And 14.85 into our standby. You want to go ahead and cross-reference them like this. So that way, if for whatever reason you have a PFD or MFD failure, you've already got the other ones in your standby, and you don't have to worry about trying to put those in there while you're flying to try and find where you're intercepting IFR. After you've got those channels into your navigation, we're going to come over here to the top and make sure that our comms are in our active frequencies. We got 121.3, which is Falcon ground, 124.6, which is the tower frequency for the south runway. And let's go ahead and make sure that our ATIS is put in, so we can go ahead and listen to that. 118.25 or 25 and put that in the active. We're going to follow our PFD around, our hit inset to change our map. We want to make sure that we have our train on. We can go ahead and get rid of topo. We can go ahead and turn off traffic if you would like, or leave it on. I don't like to have it on my small map just because I do have it over here bigger and I don't need to crowd this already hard to see map. We're going to hit back, come to our PFD. Make sure that wind option 1 is selected, and we're going to go ahead and turn on our bearing pointers. Bearing 1, we're going to have to nav 1. Bearing 2, we're going to have to nav 2. That's going to help us when we're flying the VOR on this departure to make sure that we've got our positive course guidance and let us know where we are in relation to both of those VORs. Hit back. We're going to go ahead and hit CDI. Come over to VOR 1. Which is going to be Stanfield, and make sure that we put in our course that we'll be flying from Stanfield. So we'll be on the 003 radial from Stanfield, which ends up being the 183 course to Stanfield. So we're going to turn our course barrel knob to swing that CDI around until we hit 118.3. 118.3. We're going to hit CDI to pull up our VOR2, which is Phoenix VOR, and we're going to go ahead and put the course that we would need to identify IFR, which is going to be 143. 143. There. Now we know that once both of those CDI needles line up, that we have positive identification of IFR 143. All right, so our VORs are in as a backup. We can go ahead and come back to our GPS and fly that. That's going to automatically follow our route that we have in. But it's good to have that VOR set up just in case something happens, either to your GPS, your PFD, MFD, anything like that. You're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to just follow along. Exponder, if you're flying actual IFR and you have flight following, you're going to change your squawk code to whatever they gave you, and time and reference. We're going to go ahead and turn on Barrow and put 1700 for Falcon. And again, that's going to give our minimums call out 300 feet above airport elevation, so that we can make sure that we are stable on our final approach. Go ahead and get rid of that. We're going to make sure that our altimeter is set, as well as our departure altitude, which is usually going to be 3,700 if we're doing the simulated Mesa 1. If we're on an actual IFR clearance, we will put whatever altitude that ATC assigned to us when we got our craft clearance. And then we're just going to make sure that our heading bug is to the runway that we're taking off from. If we're taking off runway 4041, we've got that bugged and we're ready to go. That is going to be the G1000 setup for an IFR flight. It is very similar to everything that you do for VFR. Major difference is going to be making sure that your flight plan is loaded, as well as your navigational aids are set.